Quick video here, folks, on BTP, myself and Martin, as we review the Manchester United game. It's look good on our YouTube channel. We're going to start doing a bit more content on that. First of all, Martino, 1-1, not the worst result in the world. Maybe a result I would have taken before the game. But different things to analyse in that performance, some positive, some negative. What was your take on it?
Well, I mean, look, it was always going to be a little bit weird. It was going to be, that little period here of adjustment, and you never know quite what to expect. You watched, obviously, the Bundesliga coming around after 2 or 3 weeks. It definitely got a lot better. We've seen the games in the Premier League so far. I think it's kind of along those lines. I mean, good spells, poor goal to give away, regardless of whether you're playing for 3 months or not. Look, Bergwijn's pace would have troubled. I mean, I know Maguire looks bad on that. He was slow on the turn, but that pace would have troubled anybody with that touch. I was a little more concerned with how far apart Lindelof was. A little bit slower to get closer and cover. But still, when you look at it from behind the goal, from behind the play from Bergwijn when he shoots, Lindelof actually covers a lot of the far side of the goal. So De Gea's just got to do a lot better than that. I mean, it was just a poor goal to give away. But, good moments. And then obviously when Pogba comes on, that's the Pogba that we need to see on a consistent basis, right? Because, I mean, just look at the difference. I mean, 1-1 away to Spurs. It's the toughest fixture we've got left, right? Probably would have taken it, but obviously disappointed not to get all three because we had the chances. Definitely had chances to win the game.
Look, there's such a high bar for Solskjaer, and I don't really understand it. He's played Mourinho's team twice, taken 4 points, and still there's people out there criticizing him because when you're Manchester United manager and you're Solskjaer, you have to win every game, not concede a goal, not make a mistake. Otherwise, it's evidence that you weren't up to the job and you shouldn't have the job. There's some things that have been levelled at Solskjaer about how he got the job, which quite frankly are a disgrace. Solskjaer definitely didn't deserve to get the job. Of that, there's no doubt. Certainly, he didn't earn it through his resume. Of that, there's no doubt. But I think since he's come in, let's say you change Solskjaer's name to any other top manager in the world, and he's done what Solskjaer has done, he'd be getting positive reviews right now, Martin, because he's had to rebuild the side. He's had to get players out. He's had to bring new players in. You can't really say any of the players that he's brought in have been bad. Wan-Bissaka, I thought, improved prior to the coronavirus. He was showing improvements in his game going forward. Maguire, except he was really poor on the goal today. We'll get to that in a minute. But overall, I think he's been a positive. I think he needs a proper partner. I think he also gets let down a little bit by Luke Shaw, who sometimes gets caught out of position. He's not quick enough to get back when it's caught out of position. His distribution is poor. He had some good moments today in the game, but I still think that's a problematic position for United. And then, of course, the David De Gea situation, Martin. I tweeted out a stat there, which was truly unbelievable. De Gea now leads the league since last season. The mistakes that cost 13 points, 8. This is a goalkeeper that was once worth 9 to 12 points a season for United. Undoubtedly the best goalkeeper in the world. Now, I don't even know if he's the best goalkeeper at Man United.
No, it's again, like I said, it's a poor goal. It's gone through him. There's just no excuses there at all. Nope. And as far as Solskjaer goes, I mean, we'd said it earlier on today, this morning, that, it wasn't long ago that people were clamoring about Arteta and how much better Arteta was and how far superior Arteta was from a tactical standpoint. Kind of eating their words on that right now. Look, it's going to be a period of adjustment. It's going to be difficult. Habit and to have an instant reaction to that game and read an awful lot into it isn't really worth it. There's going to be a period of adjustment. Look, I know. We talk about it's time for Greenwood. It's people all of a sudden it's Pogba should have started. How come Pogba's on the bench? Well, Pogba didn't deserve to be in that Man United team based on what we've seen so far from Pogba. I wasn't surprised by the team selection, really. Maybe Matic is the only one I can say was probably maybe a little bit surprised about. a little surprised he didn't change things at half-time with maybe one sub, but maybe he was expecting, or maybe Mourinho was expecting that, so he decided to go back out with the same, but probably could have made the change a little bit earlier. But, you know, it's got to be so difficult for these guys to come in and play in that environment, and it's just, you know, do players have a tendency to try and do different things without a crowd there?
Well, look, here's a couple of things, mate. It's Spurs away. It's not an easy game of football. This isn't Norwich away. It doesn't matter who Spurs are playing. This is a football team that's got one of the greatest coaches in the world. We'll all admit that, right? Jose Mourinho, whatever you say about him, is still one of the top coaches in the world. His resume is incredible. It's still a football club that spent a lot of money, right? It's still a football club that have Champions League ambitions. So it's not a disgrace going away and drawing against Spurs. Brilliant composure by Bruno Fernandes. It was a game that was managed. It's for me that had it was played in segments. Right, first 25 minutes. Look, let me back up. In terms of a Spurs performance, as United fans, we've seen that performance from United many times under Mourinho. Right, where he suffocates a game, he sits in and says, "Okay, you break me down. All right, you've got better players than me. You break me down." And so United gave a goal away after 25 minutes. It was the only thing Spurs had done. Spurs hadn't had a shot up at that point. United were so comfortable. There was really, at times, and you've heard Solskjaer say this, United sometimes can be a bit slow with their passing, be a bit lazy sometimes, and there's no quick penetration. I was hoping to see at the start of this game, United come into that game with a swagger that they left with the Man City game, where they had confidence, a brightness about them, that we're better than you, we're going to go win this game. They didn't have that. But look, as we've seen in the Bundesliga and many other leagues, it's not easy to do that after having an unprecedented layoff for footballers. It's been off for a couple of months. It's very hard. One thing that Mourinho's teams have always done, if you look at pre-seasons, they've always started strongly. He manages that period very, very well. So I expected a strong Spurs. I expected the Spurs to come out, try to fit with Mourinho, trying to answer some critics. He will be well aware of what happened at Old Trafford in December, which really began, its recovery. And he, of course, deliberately leaked to the press this week about Solskjaer being out of his depth, which I thought was quite nasty. And so, he had the Spurs team up for it. Couple of things I take away from today. You're right, Pogba didn't deserve to start the game, but deserves to start the next game, right? Secondly, Daniel James is an impact player. Daniel James is a winger that comes on in a game when you've got space in behind and he'll murder you. But he doesn't have the quality to play in front of a defender to create. Mason Greenwood does. Mason Greenwood was far dangerous. I think if Mason Greenwood starts that game, you end up winning the game.
Yeah, I mean, hindsight's 2020. We can look and we can say that, but I tend to agree. I mean, Mason Greenwood is proven it's going to be almost impossible for him not to get the start and not to force his way in until potentially a Jadon Sancho comes. It's definitely an area on the pitch now that he's going to have to look at, because that United performance had glimpses or reminders of the playing against a quote-unquote lesser team who were going to sit on the low block, sit and say, break us down. And United did struggle at times. And, tactically, look, we know what Mourinho can do. We know how good he is, and tactically Spurs were very good. We talked about it with Danny the other day on the podcast about how Mourinho played with that Spurs, with a fully fit Spurs team, like bypassing and getting the ball. That's where the goal came from. It was an attempt to go from goalkeeper up high. United should have dealt with it, didn't deal with it, but that's how the goal came, so no surprise there. It's going to be a period of adjustment. I'm not going to be too quick to judge, but you can see a couple of things there where Martial, just the frustration, just anonymous for long periods. And then you saw the brilliance where he almost pulled a goal out of nothing on the turn, and Lloris has made a wonderful save. You would expect now changes. You would expect changes for the next game. I think probably would have been changes anyway. They're going to have to rotate this squad now. But the nice thing was looking at the squad, fully fit squad predominantly. You looked at that bench and it looked far stronger than it has in the past. And again, this is the frustration with Paul Pogba. If that's what we can get, I mean, again, a little bit different when you're starting to chase the game a little bit and you're not got almost no defensive responsibilities. So he's allowed to come on and be a little bit more free. But I mean, you saw the brilliance to win the penalty. You saw the brilliance with that crossfield ball he played on the half volley to Rashford late on. Was just, that's the quality he's got, and I think that's the frustration that we certainly have, you and I, and many others have, where it's the consistency. He brings that, and you saw just the tempo pick up when he came on. And that's the difference he can have. But yeah, there's going to be changes for the next. I don't know if Igalo starts, but Martial, anonymous for long periods. Dan James agreed he's going to be that impact player. And if a team sits deep, you kind of do nullify him a little bit at this point in the stage of his development. I'd expect Mason Greenwood now to step in for this next game, and Paul Pogba to start. And, you know, as you said, great composure and a different kind of penalty from Fernandes.
Fantastic composure, man.
Didn't do his usual little skip sort of step thing. Yeah, buried it. So, but you know, it was nice to see as well the disappointment from United players at the end of the game at not taking all 3 points. I want to see that.
Yeah, of course. Completely agree. And look, a couple of things. Mason Greenwood is filling out physically. I mean, it was noticeably different. Solskjaer stated anyway that he had done it. He put on a couple of pounds.
3 kilos, right? I think he said.
So you could see, and you know, he's. There was a couple of times in that game when he came on, Martin, his confidence, his movement was just magnificent, right? I mean, he is a kid. The one thing you can never gauge with young players is temperament. How are they going to deal with pressure playing for one of the biggest football clubs in the world? That you just don't know. And he came on in that game. It almost reminded me of the Sheffield United game when he needed to score goals to win. He just changed it. And there's a noticeable difference between Mason Greenwood and Dan James. Technically, Greenwood's miles ahead of him. Right, Dan James is a good player, very, very good player, good signing. But when you look at games like Spurs, you spend money on big players to win you these games, right? Not the Norwich games, not the other games, right? You expect that anyone in your team can score goals against these teams, right? No disrespect them. But you're spending £90 million on players, 70 million, 60 million to make the difference in these games, because a lot of times in these games, you only get you need a moment of magic to create something, you know, because they're well organized, they're difficult to break down. So now you need to do something special to create an opening and completely change the game. Paul Pogba done exactly that. Has the ball out in the right wing, and have no quality in that box all day. And he's one-on-one against Eric Dyer, makes a fool out of Eric Dyer, right? Gets the penalty. Bruno Fernandes takes it up, scores. United's 2 best players change the game, right? Paul Pogba technically is miles ahead of every player United have. He's technically magnificent. Just the other aspects of his game. And here's the thing about it, Martin. For Pogba to remind the world he's world class, he wouldn't have to do much. All you have to do is go on a run of 5 or 6 games of consistent brilliance for people to say, yes, that's the Pogba that the world wants to see. So hopefully, look, I think this is, people may say it's 2 points lost. Maybe that's the expectation United have now. I think this is a point gained. It's a good point. You prefer to see them win the game. When you look at United's running, you're going, don't lose that Spurs game, right? And obviously, you know, there's other questions you're going to be asked these other games, but really, really pleased with the reaction of United the last half an hour. But again, the David De Gea situation is something that United are going to have to address, and I think the difficult decisions are going to have to be made there. I think, you know, Martin, when we talk about the summer business, I was talking to Harry Redknapp yesterday on BTP. Of course, he was at Birmingham last season. And I was asking about Jude Bellingham. And he says to me, he goes, you know, Jude Bellingham's going to be £100 million player in 2 years. And he goes, to me, he's a better player than what Dele Alli was at MK Dons. And it was amazing to me that Dele Alli was at MK Dons for as long as he was. Mm-hmm. And Jude Bellingham would get in the United or Dortmund's midfield right now. That's an incredible statement for a kid 16 turning 17, and he might be 17 already. That I hope United can go out and get that type of business done, because I would love to see Sancho and Bellingham and maybe a left back come in this summer.
Yeah, and that's a bold statement to say. It's a kid of that age can get into that midfield right now. I don't think he gets into that midfield if you've got a Paul Pogba producing consistently the way he did in his cameo today. You're not shifting Fernandes. But I mean, that kind of quality, I mean, it's hard. I mean, it'd be certainly be disappointing if that's how highly he's regarded to miss out on someone like that. if he does end up at Dortmund, again, we talked about it in the pod, didn't we? It'd be another youngster after Haaland that we missed out on. So yeah, sure, look rusty. That I don't necessarily feel the need to go out and get a left back with Brandon Williams coming through, but he didn't look comfortable. But like I said, not necessarily 2 points dropped, like you said, not necessarily a point gained either, but undefeated in 12, pushing for a winner. I was talking to a friend in England earlier on today, and we were talking about how without that crowd, that first goal is so important in these games now with more fans in it. Because where do you draw the energy from? Usually draw that from, obviously United's away fans are the best in the world. So to see him pull it back and continue to go for the winner, look, it Spurs away, like you said. It's a point. Now they've got to make sure that they follow it up and pick up as close to maximum points as we can, and try and shift gear and get into that top four. Not have to rely on City's fate, with that arbitration case. But yeah, look, period of transition. It was always going to be a little bit strange. Maybe we expected a little bit too much. I thought we saw moments where positive moments where we can be excited for what the potential is. And I think we saw some obvious flaws that we kind of know and we've kind of been talking about for some time anyway. And again, the poor goal to give away. And David De Gea, that's forget about Maguire, forget about the Shaw header. You got to be saying you can't be letting those. You can't be letting those goals. You cannot. I know. Are they rethinking that? I know it's only one mistake, but one mistake costs you games.
It's not. One mistake don't make, and that's the problem. It's been way too consistent with De Gea. Look, David De Gea owes United nothing. He looks like a guy at this stage of his career needs a move. So maybe if he goes back to Spain or somewhere else, he can recover. He's still relatively young for a goalkeeper. You would still get big money for him. I think we were talking to Franz Hoek about it, and he still thinks that David De Gea is one of the best goalkeepers in the world, and ahead of Dean Henderson, and he had both of them at United. Now, obviously, Dean Henderson was a lot younger then. But he was saying, it was really interesting when we were talking to him, he was saying, here's the thing though, you can't look at someone playing for Sheffield United and then compare it to playing for Manchester United. There is no comparison, right? Especially as a goalkeeper, because it's the one position on the field where you can't hide your mistakes and your mental fortitude and everything else is evident. He's like, so you can play exceptionally well for Sheffield United and you can look like you're going to come into a club like Manchester United and be immense, but they're two different worlds. This is why I give people like Mason Greenwood immense credit, because under 23 level football to first team level is light years away. He hasn't had the benefit of a loan, which means a kid is a natural, right? And even Dan James, to a degree, coming from Swansea in the Championship up to Manchester United in the Premier League, and the kid has handled it well. He also had his issues on the outside, of course, with his father. So I never believed United would loan Dan James out. It made no sense to me. Even though I know they've loaned the likes of Smalling out there on their career, it made no sense to me to do it with Dan James. It is a position that they need to strengthen. The other thing that Manchester United absolutely must get right, I mean, defender who's leaking. He's leaking that team inside that dressing room. That is a disgrace. That is absolutely disgraceful. I'm not pointing any fingers, Martin, because I don't know. All I'm going to say is, if you were a detective, I would say it's probably a disgruntled Mourinho player. But look, this has been going on for a while, but it was no shock to me that a couple of months have passed and bang, out goes this out goes the team. It's just disgraceful.
Yeah, there's got. I severely hope somebody's looking at this and really, really starting to investigate what's going on here, because, like you say, it's been going on since the LVG days. We don't hear it. We very rarely hear it from other clubs, like these league lineups and stuff like that. It's a consistent theme now at United. Yeah, it's completely unacceptable.
We need to get Colin Rooney on the job and find out what the crack is.
We said, again, when we were talking to Danny the other day, I brought it up there about Henderson playing at Sheffield United. There is, perform as well as you do, but there's in front of the Stretford end on a midweek game under the lights. Henderson is still very, very young, very young.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah, I mean, look, point gain. I'll take a point away at Spurs as long as we can kick on there. We're back. We've got football back.
Yeah.
You know, maybe next game things feel a little bit less weird to the players, a little bit more natural. That environment that they have to play in and they have to come out to, they have to change in the drinks breaks, all that stuff.
Enough of the drinks breaks, man. 5 subs I can handle, but the drinks breaks, nah. I don't understand that. What's next? No blasters? No. But 5 subs, man, I could get used to. By the way, I have no issue with it. You don't like it?
It's half a team. I mean, it's half a team. I mean, I think it makes things easier and easier for the managers. Look at your bench. You're naming 9 subs. You pretty much got every player being registered to the first team squad can be there. I think it makes things real easier.
But let me tell you this, though.
I think, look, five is too many for me. Three's plenty. Look, during this time, 5, okay. At least they put the stipulation that it's got to be done in 3. Can only be done in 3 occasions. There can only be 3 stoppers.
Let me tell you this, though. 2 things. First of all, there's lots and lots of things being brought into the game to help young players get game time. That's one way of getting them game time. All right? You can make 5 subs. Might not be a lot of meaningful game time, but that's a way of getting them on the pitch. Secondly, on the topic of young players, we'll leave on this, man. Angel Gomez, I just want to say 2 things. It's good that Solskjaer's come out and offered the kid a contract. Right? He said, sorry for him if he wants to stay, else not. I wouldn't blame the kid no matter what he did. If he wanted to leave because he wants to play football, there's nothing wrong with that. But he got slaughtered, right, for a video this week that I must admit my initial reaction when I saw it was I laughed, right? But then I thought about it and I'm like, he's Chad, he's 16 in the video, right? And far be it for me to attack anyone's faith, right? People are entitled to believe whatever they want. And, you know, I don't share these beliefs, but I don't want to be arsy about it to other people, you know? And so I felt a bit sorry for him, and to be honest, with some of the reactions on social media. And I was one of the main culprits, and I deleted my own tweet over it, where I said Angel Gomez, WTF. And then I thought about it after a couple of minutes. I'm like, you know what? That's a bit sorry. But again, I would love to see him make it at United.
Well, if he's good enough, he's going to make it at United.
Mm-hmm.
If he decides to move on and doesn't want to wait around anymore because he wants to play football, fair play. But at this point, he's been floating around the first team for a good couple of years now, 2 or 3 years. There's got to be a reason. There's something there why he hasn't broken through yet. And we've seen under Ole Solskjaer that if you're performing and he feels you're good enough, you're going to get an opportunity in that first team. It's up to him to grab it with both hands if and when that opportunity comes.
We shall see. Folks, don't forget, stay tuned to BTP. Go to BTP Media. Bookmark it. Our website. So many amazing things coming up on the show. Myself, Martin will be back next week with our United pod. So many of us have been putting in hard work on the show. We appreciate all the support. We've got lots of fun stuff coming as well. We'll have BTP merchandise hitting the website here very, very soon. And we've got a Mammal Noya competition. The content coming out next week is pretty strong. Very, very good. We've got good guests coming on. So a couple of things you can do for us. You can share the show, retweet it, all that. Help us subscribe on the major platforms. That helps us. It's available on all podcast platforms. And like we said here, we're going to be doing more video content that we're excited about. So thanks for everyone. We've had so many amazing comments over the last few weeks. Thanks for all your support, folks. And thanks to all of you who have donated to, by the way. There is a lot of, because we've put so much into this, with the website, merchandise, Zoom Premium, all these things. There's tons of added costs that are unforeseen, folks. So we appreciate the donations. Whatever you can afford is always much appreciated. So stay safe out there, Martino.
Cheers, mate. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.